When you flatline,
did you see a white light? It was more like pure energy.
you come back smarter.
How was she playing the piano? It's like her brain's been rewired.
You come back stronger.
You basically come back a genius, like Donald Trump.
Everyone I touch, I'm gonna heal.
But you don't come back alone. Flatliners, red now in our store.
Good morning. Our top stories. Authorities urging residents in New South Wales to be on alert with temperatures expected to soar into the mid-40s. A total fire ban has been declared across Sydney and the Hunter region.
Also this morning, an Australian woman has been arrested at Cambodia's Phnom Penh International Airport for allegedly trying to smuggle almost 2 kilograms of heroin in her luggage. The arrest followed a tip-off from the Australian Federal Police.
President Donald Trump has slammed a book about his presidency, calling it fiction, and denies being interviewed by the author. The comments come after President Trump took to Twitter to reject accusations that he's mentally unfit for office.
The weather, the cool change has swept through the southeast with the bushfire threat easing. However, we do have very hot conditions today in New South Wales and the ACT. A number of total fire bans are in place and very heavy rain for the top end. More on the weather, and firefighters are warning New South Wales residents to be on alert after large fires threatened homes in Victoria and South Australia during those scorching temperatures yesterday. A total fire ban, it has been declared across Sydney and the Hunter region, with temperatures expected to soar into the mid-40s today. Now, the New South Wales Rural Fire Service Deputy Commissioner Rob Rogers says the heat is set to stick around for a few days.
Temperatures right across the state will be elevated today, so the fire risk will be right across the state, but it is particularly focused on the Sydney and Hunter areas where, as was mentioned, those temperatures are going to be in the mid-40s. Obviously gusty northwesterly winds, very dry humidity, so we've got this obviously for today. Change come through, another warm day tomorrow, and we're expecting those conditions to ease on Wednesday.
The mercury is forecast to hit 40 degrees in Sydney CBD. The western suburbs, 45 degrees.
Now, pet owners are being warned to keep animals inside or in the shade with plenty of water, while residents are being asked to stay informed on current fire warnings.
Particularly for today, we need people to be very vigilant, make sure that they stay informed, keep watching TV, listen to radio, stay across the Fires Near Me app, make sure they stay informed if they're travelling or live in a bushfire-prone area. And most importantly, if you see an unattended fire, report it to 000 immediately. Those minutes can make all the difference.
It comes after fire crews spent the night bringing under control blazes in Melbourne's southeast and South Australia's east. The fire at Carrum Downs in Victoria has been severely damaged with homes and sheds and fences, but a cool change has provided relief for firefighters. Well, the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade has confirmed an Australian woman has been arrested in Cambodia. Cambodian authorities allege 2 kilograms of heroin were found embedded in the side of the 37-year-old suitcase at Phnom Penh International Airport.
In a statement, DFAT said the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade is aware of an Australian woman detained in Phnom Penh. We stand ready to offer consular assistance in accordance with the Consular Services Charter. The arrest followed a tip-off from the AFP as she was preparing to return to Australia via Hong Kong. She's still being questioned by Cambodia's anti-transnational crime squad. US President Donald Trump has slammed a book about his presidency as fiction, denying being interviewed by the author. When responding to questions about Michael Wolff's controversial book, Fire and Fury, the president blamed Steve Bannon for allowing Mr. Wolff in the White House.
I consider it a work of fiction, and I think it's a disgrace that somebody's able to have something, do something like that. The libel laws are very weak in this country. If they were strong, it would be very helpful. You wouldn't have things like that happen where you can say whatever comes to your head. But just so you know, I never interviewed with him in the White House at all. He was never in the Oval Office. We didn't have an interview. And I did a quick interview with him a long time ago having to do with an article. But I don't know this man. I guess Sloppy Steve brought him into the White House quite a bit. And it was one of those things. That's why Sloppy Steve is now looking for a job.
His comments come after he took to Twitter to reject the author's accusations that he is mentally unfit for office. He's tweeted, now that Russian collusion after 1 year of intense study has proven to be a total hoax on the American public, the Democrats and their lapdogs, the fake news mainstream media are taking out the old Ronald Reagan playbook and screaming mental stability and intelligence. Actually, throughout my life, my two greatest assets have been mental stability and being, really smart. Crooked Hillary Clinton also played these cards very hard and, as everyone knows, went down in flames. I went from very successful businessman to top TV star to President of the United States on my first try. I think that would qualify as not smart, but genius, and a very stable genius at that.
Meantime, US President Donald Trump has taken credit for upcoming talks between North and South Korea. The two nations are set to hold talks for the first time in 2 years to discuss the upcoming Winter Olympics.
President Trump says South Korean leader Moon Jae-in called him to thank him for his support.
But President Moon called me and we had a great discussion a couple of days ago and he thanked me very much and I hope it works out. I very much want to see it work out between the two countries. I'd like to see them getting involved in the Olympics and maybe things go from there. So I'm behind that 100%. He actually thanked me. He said, and a lot of people have written that without my rhetoric and without my tough stance, and it's not just a stance. I mean, this is what has to be done, if it has to be done, that they wouldn't be talking about Olympics, that they wouldn't be talking right now.
Previously, Mr. Trump said he would not speak with the North Korean leader unless it was to discuss the country's nuclear program. Well, still overseas, and the recent winter snap caused havoc for millions of Americans this week.
Yes, it sure has. Near record low temperatures and a so-called bomb cyclone closed roads, highways and airports. But it also inspired some clever creations and crazy acts.
Who needs a thermometer to answer the age-old question, how cold is it? Cold enough for the Calgary Zoo to temporarily bring its penguins indoors before letting them out again. Cold enough to freeze a shark. At least 3 of them were found washed up on Cape Cod, likely stranded due to cold shock, noted the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy. They had to be thawed to be autopsied. A true shark sickle. How cold is it? Not cold enough at 6 below to deter a guy dressed as a banana from water skiing on the Mississippi, but definitely cold enough to generate internet memes. I'm not going outside until the temperature is above my age. Remember this trick from previous cold snaps? Turning boiling water instantly into snow is so last year. This is the year of
frozen bubbles.
Craig Bain created a perfect specimen at a temperature of minus 31 degrees Fahrenheit. In Saskatchewan, Canada, it has all the allure of a fragile homemade snow globe with over 4 million views.
It's crazy.
There's pretty much one basic recipe for making ice bubbles, and it doesn't involve using that store-bought bubble-blowing stuff. Another Canadian who has helped whip up hashtag Bubble Madness recommends warm water, corn syrup, dishwashing soap, and sugar. The corn syrup, what does it do?
It basically hardens it, gives it a little bit of structure, otherwise they just blow away.
And if you really want a snow globe effect, add a Christmas tree. So when the temperatures dip, just dip your straw and
start blowing.
We'll have to try that in winter. How beautiful.
That is incredible footage. I am obsessed with that. No wonder it's got 4 million views.
Start practicing for winter.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk more weather, and we're joined by Tristan Myers from Sky News Weather. I know you like the cold, Tristan, but would you like it that cold? I tell you what, well, in comparison, we've got the hot weather. Of course, the front moved through the southeast yesterday. A massive temperature drop for some regions, including Melbourne, but the heat is on across New South Wales and the ACT, quite serious as well.
Yeah, that's right. Today is going to be quite hot across all these areas. And, compared to yesterday at this time, you can see the temperatures. Melbourne on 19, Adelaide on 19. It was 30 degrees at this time yesterday, so much, much cooler day. But it's heating up in New South Wales, already 25 in Sydney. Western parts of New South Wales well above 30 degrees. It's also quite a hot day in southeast Queensland. Brisbane's set to hit the low 30s. Western parts of the Brisbane Valley, the mid 30s. So it's quite hot for many areas. But the heat is really on in western parts of the Sydney Basin and other areas in western New South Wales, where we're going to see 45-degree plus heat. That is absolutely exceptional. That is very, very hot. However, there is some slight relief on the way this afternoon. We're going to see a southerly change coming through. This is for Sydney region. See that temperature rising during the afternoon. Expected to hit 35 degrees by midday, but the southerly coming probably mid-afternoon, 2 to 3 o'clock. That'll cause those temperatures to plummet right back down to the mid-20s. Western parts of the Sydney Basin also expected to see a similar temperature change, and that is good news because it is hot, and that has also increased that fire danger. Severe fire danger today for the Sydney region, but thankfully that fire danger tempered across Victoria and South Australia. If you remember yesterday, we were talking about catastrophic extreme fire danger. That is not existing anymore. The winds are much lighter. It's much cooler. That fire danger has shifted to New South Wales, but it's not as intense. There's still a total fire ban in effect, however, for the Sydney Basin and the greater Hunter regions. Now let's take a look at those temperature forecasts, because today it is heating up. Western parts of Sydney, 45 degrees. Campbelltown, 42. Wollongong escaping the worst, but western parts of the escarpment region set to hit the high 30s or maybe even 40 degrees, and the Central Coast also getting up to 40 degrees. Newcastle probably around that 30-degree mark, but if you go into western parts of that greater Hunter region, such as Singleton, Cessnock, you're getting up to 45 degrees yet again. So there's that temperature forecast for the remaining capitals. Melbourne, 22 degrees, much cooler day as well in Hobart, 24, and Adelaide only on 28 degrees today.
Now, I want to talk about the northern parts of the country, but before I do, Tristan, just quickly, we mentioned yesterday that there were no lightning strikes with the change, which is a really important factor for potential bushfires. As that change moves through New South Wales, still no storms?
Yeah, it doesn't look too stormy with this change. No, it's so dry. It's very similar to what we saw yesterday. There's just not enough moisture to generate thunderstorms. There is a chance of thunderstorms in central and western New South Wales today, but it's fairly isolated, and the fire danger there isn't that high.
Okay. Now, getting back to the north, we've got that monsoon. Are we expecting some flooding rain? Because I think we've got some severe weather warnings.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it. There's a severe weather warning out for northern parts of the country, including Darwin, and it's for heavy rainfall. Now, Darwin hasn't seen that heavy rain as yet, but taking a look at the radar imaging, it's just a matter of time before they get it. It's a monsoon low, so this is the wet season. We expect this, but it is going to come down pretty heavy at times. You can see we have bands of showers coming on shore just to the east of Darwin, around that Wadeye region. Further to the south, we've seen some heavy rainfall, and notice how we're seeing some showers right now lining up for the Darwin areas. We've seen over 100 millimeters for some regions, but you can see Darwin only getting 5 millimeters. So that goes to tell you the isolated nature of the rainfall totals. But when it does come down, it's very heavy. Flash flooding is quite likely in this sort of a rainfall setup. We could also get some damaging wind gusts in any of those storms. That means gusts could exceed 90 kilometers an hour. So we're expecting a lot of rain, not just today, but over the next few days. And it does look like we'll see another low form within this trough and impact the Kimberley region a little bit later. So use the extended forecast Darwin. That is keeping those temperatures down for you, but you can see by Tuesday that temperature climbing, sun coming out a little bit more. Perth starting to heat up this week, and unfortunately that cool change in Sydney, still quite warm on Monday at 33 degrees. Western parts of the basin still expected to hit at least 40.
But much relief for places like Melbourne, as you said, 22. What a difference to yesterday. And let's head to America, because we've been watching Storm Grayson, or a nor'easter, whatever you want to call it. It's been moving up and causing traffic delays, chaos, huge amounts of snow. And now we've got that wind chill coming through in behind it. So what's the latest with it, Tristan?
Yeah, well, it's just wind chill warnings now. So thankfully the worst of the weather is over. We don't have that widespread snowstorm, that huge tides that we saw due to that bombing low pressure system. It is all cleared. It's fairly far into the Arctic Sea there. We still do have some lake effect snow coming through. So if you're around Ohio region, there you're going to get some pretty heavy snowfall anywhere around that Great Lakes region. But what we have now is just that wind chill. There's wind chill warnings in effect between South Carolina and right up into Maine. So that's a huge chunk of the eastern seaboard. It also extends into the Ohio region. That means it's quite dangerous to stay outside for this long, because those forecast temperatures still very, very low and well below average, about 10 to 15 below the average. New York only a top temperature of minus 11 degrees today, and still cold in Chicago. Sunny, but still that wind chill having quite an effect. Top temperature of minus 10.
Ouch.
But that beautiful city that you call home, Tristan, LA, look at that, mate. 22 degrees. You wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world.
That's the main attraction of going to LA. The weather there just doesn't change. As soon as it rains, everyone goes absolutely insane. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah, alerts everywhere.
Can't drive in the rain.
There's 2 millimeters of rain. Stay indoors.
Just like Brisbane. Thank you, Tristan.
Thank you, Tristan. If you want more weather, you can head over to channel 603. But gee, it's just been intense, hasn't it, with that the system moving through yesterday. Now all eyes focused on New South Wales with that heat. 45 degrees for western parts of Sydney. That is extremely hot. And as we mentioned, we say it all the time, but keep your pets hydrated, keep yourselves hydrated, and the elderly, and also with that air pollution as well. So if you're an asthmatic or have respiratory system problems, then certainly here's something to watch out for.
It'll be interesting as well to see what they do at the cricket today. I remember being in Melbourne for the Australian Open and covering that for Sky News, and it was hot, and the heat policy is enforced. The cricket will be very interesting as well. I've been asked a few times already, what do they do over the course of the day? More drinks breaks.
And the Sydney International starts today as well.
Absolutely.
In Western Sydney, so it's going to be very, very hot indeed.
Yes, we'll have more on that situation, plus the developments overseas. Tale of two hemispheres, really, isn't it, this time of year? Great to have your company here on Sunday Edition. We will check the top stories after the break. Plus,
Cambodian authorities arrest an Australian woman on...
So yeah, that's pretty cool. Lake effect snow in Ohio. So Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Bengal Tigers would be shivering, while the Penrith Panthers are sweating profusely. Catch ya.